Okay, so again, today's broadcast is sponsored by the Zimmerman family, and I don't have the name of the Niftaris, and I know it's a Mandelbaum. I don't have the full name. If Akiva comes out, he'll tell us. And the cover the Chasna of Heshi. The Chasna is tonight, I believe. No,
I think it's Thursday.
It's Thursday. Right, today's still Wednesday. Okay, beautiful. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Thursday is Tu BAV, right? So tonight is Tu BAV. Or is it today? Let's see. Today is Tu BAV. So it says like Hayu Yom Tovim B'Yisrael Chamisha B'Av. It's a big day of Shidduchim. I think there's a whole bunch of speeches online today about Shidduchim. Okay, so let's see what it says over here. We're on the second line of Daf Kuf Nun Beis Amar Aleph. The Gemara says, the Gemara quotes from a pasuk. B'yoyim sheyazu shomer habayis. So let's see the whole pasuk inside. It says B'yoyim sheyazu shomer habayis. The day that the watchers of the house will what's exact the touch of yazu? I think it means to tremble, right? V'hisavsu anshe chayil, and they'll bend over. The people of the army will bend that will be hunched. Uvatlu atoichanos, and the grinders will become non-existent. Kimiaitu, they became small. V'chashchu harois barubos, and it'll become dark. Those who look out the window, clearly talking about deterioration. So the Gemara says as follows: B'yom shizu shemer bais vis avsu. B'yom shizu shemer bais, the day that the watchers of the home, the guardsmen, are going to tremble. Elu haksolim vatsalois. That's referring to the side, the flanks of a person's body, which gets hunched, and the vertebrae. So Rashi says, Tzaloi shein shomer b'nim ayin. Tzaloi is not a vertebrae. I apologize. The rib cage. Shem shomer b'nim ayin v'chiyusa shel adam v'sorgim badam. So these things start to sag, and they start to soften. This afsu anshe echayil, and the members of the army are going to hunch. Elu shukim, those are your thighs. Rashi shekoiche shel adam nismach aleim. Your thighs become weak. Uvata toichnos, the grinders go quiet. Elu shenayim, those are the teeth of a person that become weak and are no longer able to do their job properly to grind the food. V'chashchu haroyos ba'rubois, and it became dark, those who look out the windows. Elu einayim, that is the eyes, the vision starts to be affected. So this is building upon what we learned yesterday. As people get older, the equipment does not work as well anymore. Amr le Keser Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya. The king approached Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya, and he asked him, "My time aloi osis levei avidon." Now we learned about Be'avidon, and Rashi tells us here there was mokoim ha'osilus vakeach shom tzidoikim u'baitusim im Yisrael b'mekrois. It's a place where there would be debates, where the Rishoyim, who didn't believe in Torah Shalopeh, who didn't believe in Torah, they were the one they used to debate with Talmidei Chachamim as to what was right. So the king asked Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya, who was an elder, he would have been a perfect candidate to defend Yiddishkeit. Why didn't you show up to this debate place? So he told him, Amalei, Torah Talag, the top of the mountain is white, meaning my hair is white. Sacharoni Galidin, around the feet of the mountain, it's all full of ice, meaning my beard is white, my mustache is white. Kalboy navchin, my dog doesn't bark. And Rashi says it means I don't have a strong voice anymore. I can no longer speak as well, I present myself as well. I'm no longer as articulate as I used to be. My teeth, Rashi says, aren't grinding anymore. In other words, I don't have that strength anymore to make persuasive arguments. I'm losing it. Beirav Amri, Beirav said, Adaloya vidna b'chishna. What I'm not looking for, what I haven't lost, I'm looking for. Rashi says Acher mashaloi avad mimeni, even something that I didn't lose, ani mefashvesh, I'm looking for. Why is that? Because my roiv zikna ani hoylach shechuach. Since I'm old, I'm walking over hunched. Uminanea, and they tremble. V'nira kemishim avakish dinner nevedloi. Someone who's hunched over, he looks like he's looking at the floor to find something that he had lost. There's other Meforshim will learn. I'm no longer clear in my mind. I think I lost something. I don't know if I lost something. I forgot. I'm no longer of clear mind that I'm able to debate things. Nowadays you could run for president, even though you're no longer of clear mind, and even though you're no longer able to debate, but you could still run for president. So maybe Rabbi Shub Hanani was considering getting into politics now that he lost his mind. Tanya Rabbi Yosy bar Kisma Omer, Tova trei mitlas. You're much better off walking with your own 2 feet than walking with the 3 feet, meaning including a stick, a meshenis, Rashi says. It's better someone who can walk on his own 2 feet than someone who needs help and needs a 3rd foot. And the Vailo lechada, and woe is to the one, the azla v'lo yasha, which leaves and doesn't come back. Mahi, what leaves and doesn't come back? Youth. Woe is to us that the youth leaves us and it never comes back. Nobody ever gets younger. Yosy Rav Dimi Omar, Yankusa Kalila Devarda. Youth is like a bundle, it's like an ornament or a crown of roses. Shabusa, old age, Kalila de Chilfa is like a bundle of Chilfa. Rashi says it's ortiash. I forgot what that taish is, so let me quickly look at the art scroll to see what he says of what this chaliash is. Chilfa, of nettles. It's thorns. It's like thorns. So old age is not so gishmak. I had an uncle who lived to 103 and used to always say, "Tzizaye git to leben lang." But that's the price I have to pay. Tana mishmei the Reb Meir. Doik bekochi v'tishkach benigri. So Rashi says something. Rashi says echol harbe, eat a lot. It means bekochi with your teeth, with your jaw. V'simsa ha'achila b'psirei. Then your food will be found in your steps because it's going to strengthen you. There are those who touch you should eat slowly and carefully so that the food will be properly digested and you'll have the maximum benefit from it. Shenamar v'nispa lechem, will be satisfied with lechem, v'niyah toivim, and will be good. V'ra lo yir'inu, and we will not see bad. Amar le'shmuel Rabbi Yehuda, shinina, sharp one. Shari sakech, open up your mouth, Rashi says, psach picha, open up your sack, literally, but open up your mouth, and put in food. Ad arban shnin, until 40 years, michla maili, then it's healthy to eat. Mikan ve'elech, once you're 40, mishta maili, it's better to drink. Now, those who learn that this is referring to Torah. Till someone's 40, you have to learn as much as possible, and you have to acquire as much knowledge as possible. But when someone is 40, or they don't have such good memory anymore, then it's a good time for them to analyze and deepen their understanding and ferment the learning that they've already acquired. That's why it's brought down that someone is not supposed to learn Kabbalah until he's 40 years old. At 40 years old, it kicks in a certain type of insight, a certain type of wisdom, where he can now appreciate and acquire a deeper understanding of things. Amalehu Guza, the Rabbi Yeshua. There was this Apikoris who happened to have been a Sris, who was childless, and he decided that he wants to chapasach with Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha. And he asked him the following question: Mehacha likarchina kam hava. How far is it from here to the bald city? He asked him directions to a city that had the word karch in it to sort of chapasach to him that he's bald. Omer lei, he said, Kimehacha lugasnaya. It's the same distance it is from here to the childless city. So he jocked him right back. Omer lei tzeduki, bar chekarcha barba. If you buy, Rashi says, hakereach l'kuach barba. If you buy a goat, it's going to cost 4 zuz. Barcha karcha hu eis, it's a goat. Al shem she'enem elubish b'tzemer, since it doesn't have wool. Therefore, karocha, like a sheep, kari karcha. So he was trying to chopper him. It's pretty bad to be bald. Amalei, what are you talking about? Being an akar is even worse. Ikra shlifa b'tamanya. And ikra shlifa is costs 8. Rashi says, seh, shebeitza vakurin, unatukim lechem b'shmoina. A sheep that lost its ability to reproduce is 8. So again, he was trying to chop him. Chazia d'leisayim mesani. The Apikoros saw that Rabbi Shua ben Korcha was not wearing shoes. So he made fun of him. Amalei dalsus melech, someone who you find him riding on a horse, he's a melech. Dalchamor, someone who's riding on a donkey, ben Chorin is a regular homeowner. Udaman ali b'ragloi, and someone who has shoes on his feet, barinish das hamensh. The loyha, the loya, if you don't have any one of the above, a dead man who's buried is better than such a person. So you, Rabbi Shua ben Korcha, who don't even have shoes, you're a corpse is better than you. Why wasn't Rabbi Shua ben Korcha wearing shoes? So I think the Marshal brings down that this story happened to have occurred on Yom Kippur. So he wasn't wearing shoes. So he gave it back to him. Amr lei, guza, tlas amrit, you childless person, you sris, you told me 3 things. Tlas shamit, I heard 3 things that I'm going to tell you that gives me an advantage. Hadras ponim zaking, what makes somebody beautiful, his beard. You're a sris, so you don't have hair growing on your face. Simcha slave, what makes the heart happy? Isha, a wife, which you can't entertain because you're a sris. Nachlas Hashem, bon. And who has a nachla? Who has a nachla from Hashem? That's called bonim. So Baruch Hamokim gebenches the ebishe shemonach mukulam, that you don't have all 3 of these things you're missing. Amr lei. So he says, "Whoa, you're getting testy, Rabbi Yeshua. Karcha mitziyana. Whoa, you're getting testy. You're a fighter. Ata hakareach b'meriva ata basa imadi. You're coming to fight. Whoa, you're testy today." Amr lei. Rabbi Shua ben Korcha answered back, "Ikra shlifa toichacha." What I forgot what atas ris lahakni teni u'l'sakeichim ibasa. You came to start up with me. So therefore, I'm going to fight you back. So I'm not sure the exact wording of the taich. Ikra shlifa toichacha. Let me see what the article says.
Is it castrated, you emasculated one? Dare you provoke me?
You low life. You started up with me. Don't call me testy. You're the one who started this and provoked this, so you only got back what you deserved. So he's hacking them back over here. So Dr. Gemara weiter. Amalei Reb Shimon ben Chalafta. They told Amalei Rebbe Reb Shimon ben Chalafta. Rebbe told Reb Shimon ben Chalafta, "Mipnei ma lo yikbalnu ponecha beregel kederch shekpilu avoyisai laavoyisecha." Why is it that he spoke about himself in plural, which Rashi says is derech hanova commonly? Why didn't we see you? Why didn't you come to visit us by the regel? Because there's a mitzvah to be makabel pnei ponecha beregel. Amalei, he says, I'll tell you why, because I'm not so young like I used to be. Slowing the little rocks on the floor that I have to step over when I travel, nasugaloim, those little rocks to me feel like boulders. Because I'm old, I can't traverse this land anymore. Kroivim, things that were once close, nasu rechoikim, are considered far. Mishtayim, for my 2 legs that I used to rely on, nasu shalish, now I have a shtekin. Mesim shalom bevesi, the aver that I have that makes peace in my house, and Rashi says that's the aver that we use for intimacy. Bottle, it's bottle. That doesn't work anymore. The plumbing does not work anymore. I'm not so strong anymore. Rashi brings down Since I'm very weak, his legs have to be separated more from one another to walk. I'm not sure exactly what that means. But I'll call upon him. He was saying, since I'm old, it's much more difficult for me to come. There's actually a machloikis Rishonim, Rambam and Ravid, if the chiyuv to visit your Rebbe Beregel is even if you won't be able to make it back because you can't travel so far and so fast. And I think they bring some rise from this Gemara. But I'll call upon him. He says, I can no longer come visit you because not all of my machines work as good as they once used to. V'sogud l'sayim b'shuk. So let's look at the pasuk inside. V'sogud l'sayim b'shuk. And the doors are closed in the market. B'shval koil atachana, when the grinding sound goes away. The yakum l'koil tzipor, you'll wake up to the sound of a bird. The shachal kol b'nei shashir, and it'll become quiet, all those people who sing. So the Gemara Dash is just referring to old age. The doors closed. It doesn't go so easily anymore. We need assistance in order to get our bowels moving. When the grinding stops, my digestive system doesn't work as well. Even a bird chirping wakes me up now from my sleep as I get older. Even the beautiful instruments playing and singing to me sounds like nothing. So let me just see what the taich of shoich is, but it means that I can't hear it. It sounds like a whisper because you can't hear. So people, when they get older, they lose their hearing, they lose their sight, they lose everything. Okay, Zok more weiter. Even Barzilai Hagalodi also complained to David that he deteriorated. Amul David. Okay, I'm gonna mute everybody if that's okay, and then whoever has to unmute can unmute.
Who was Bar?
Okay, Zok to Gemara weiter. Barzilai Hagalodi, and Barzilai Hagalodi also complained about his old age. I'm 80 years old today. Can I tell the difference between good and bad? Because even their perception of reality and of understanding starts to deteriorate when they get older. I think Rashi speaks on this. No, he does not. He does not. But he loses his perception and his thought. Why is that? Their thought process changes. Do you think I could still taste what I eat? What I drink? From here you see Rashi says their lips begin to split, they dry. Things don't work so good anymore. They become heavy, meaning they don't work anymore. So Rav said, really, he was a shakran. It's not true. Just because one gets old, it doesn't mean one has to deteriorate. This is the only bright spot in our Gemara. Don't think it's all downhill. There are people that in their 90s are healthy and vibrant. Why? Dahi Amsa, the Havibei Rebbe, there was a woman who was working as a servant in the home of Rebbe. Bastishin Utartenshnin, she was 92 years old. Bavis Tamo Kidra. And she used to taste the pot. She had such a keen sense of taste that she was in charge of tasting the pots. So you see that if you take care of yourself, you can be sharp and vibrant even in your old age.
Because she couldn't do anything else.
I don't know. We're looking for the bright spots here. She's reminding me of the story the Rav always says over about this woman who looks in the mirror and tells her husband, "Oh, my skin is wrinkled and dry, and I look terrible." So her husband says, "No, at least your eyesight works well." There's a bright spot. Rav Omar, Barzilai Hagalodi, Shotav Bezimahava. You know why Barzilai lost his vibrance, why he lost his strength? Because he was Shotav Bezima. Someone who's short of zima, they age. Tanya Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yosy Omer, Talmidei Chachamim, Kozman Shemaskinin, as long as they age, Chachma Nitaisus Bem, they become wiser. Shenemar B'Yeshishim, with old people, Chachma. V'Oirich Yomim, Tvuna, and long days gives an understanding. V'Amei Haaretz, Kozman Shemaskinin, Tipshus Nitaisus B'Hem, they become more foolish. Shenemar Meiser Sofa L'Nemonim, the Tam is a Kenim Mikach. He takes away their speech from the Nemonim, and the taste of the Zakenim takes away. Gami Gavoya, even from up high, Yiro, they will be afraid. Shafila Gafshushus Katana, even a small little hill, Doima Lov Kahari Harim, is perceived by an old person as a big mountain. The Chatchatim B'derech, they look like big obstacles and that older people cannot traverse. When a king is traveling, Nasuloi, let me see what the Aleph says. Where's the Bach? Where is the Bach? Look for it straight up. Nasa Liboy Toyim. When the king is drawing Nasl Toyim, he becomes afraid. He has worries. He panics. Toyim's bechodim. He panics. By Yinatz Hasheked Zu Kliboisis, that's his hip. The Yistakal Achelev Hachagav Elu Agvois. So basically, by Yinatz Hasheked, meaning his I think it means his hips stick out, or does it mean his sides? I'm pretty sure it means hips. Etzem Henka, Shayert Kuboy, or it's the bottom vertebrae that the hip connects to, sticks out. So V'yinatz Hasheked means Ilan Shal Shkedim Yotzitz V'yuboltim Nichum Shaloi. His bones will stick out like a tree of almond sticks out. I'm not sure how that works, but the bones of a person starts to stick out. As a person gets skinny, you see his bones stick out from his weakness. The Istaval Achevel, meaning his buttocks will become very heavy on his body. They drag him down. Even the weight of his buttocks drag him down. So let's see what we're up to over here. El Agvois. The Sofer Havyoina Zuchemna. And Evyoin is referring to, I guess it means the flower or the fruit, but it means the taiva that a person has for tashmish, that also becomes subdued in a person's old age. So all the systems start to shut down. Rav Kana of a Pasuk Sudra, Kamei Rav. Rav Kana was reading Psukim, he was learning, it's Rashi's Misader Parshi.
Yes, can we go back there just for a second? But
sure.
There's another desire, aside from the desire for tashmish, the desire to have the desire. That doesn't go away.
That's right.
Right. Even though I can't go to the buffet table, I still want to have the desire to go to the buffet table. That I don't get tired of.
I have an old aunt who would tell me, well, she wouldn't tell me anymore when I was younger. She says, eat that steak. Don't be stupid. Now I can't even chew it anymore. Akiva, I didn't know the name of the Mandelbaum grandmother whose Yorshad it was. I only had you're muted. I only had
Cyril Bas Moshe. Bas Shmuel.
Shmuel HaKohen, Mandelbaum.
No, not Kohen. Her husband was the Kohen. This is Mrs. Mandelbaum Senior,
so
Mordechai's mother.
Neshama should have an aliyah.
Amen.
We're learning now about neshamas too. You have to, it only gets worse. So now we're just talking about old age, but soon we're going to be talking about death. We're getting there. Okay. Zok to Gemara. This Gemara is called the slippery slope. Okay, so Rav Kahana of Pasuk Sudra Kamei de Rav. Rav Kahana was learning psukim in front of Rav. Ki mota lahai kra. When he got to this pasuk, Rav himself noged v'asnach. Rav gave a krechts, meaning, oh, I know what you're talking about. Omar. So Rav Kahana said, Shemami no bot lechem de Rav. It must be that Rav could only want to want, but he doesn't want anymore, to use Akiva's analogy. Omar Rav Kahana. Rav Kahana said, it's funny how Talmidim would analyze the Rebbe, Rabbi Yehuda Anossi, about his libido. That's what Rav Kahana was noticing, analyzing Rebbe for. Amar Rav Kahana, it says in the pasuk, "Who Amar Vayehi?" What's that referring to? Zu Isha. Who Tziva Vayamoid Elu Banim. So Hashem made the tzivah that there should be an Isha, and then Hashem made the tzivah that there should be children. Tana, we learned Isha Chemes Malay Tzoya. A woman is like a jug full of tzoya. The internal parts of a body are not very appealing. Upia Malay Dam, and her mouth is full of blood. She's full of blood, and yet Va'koil Ratzon Achereh, and yet everybody runs after the woman. It's almost like a personal Gan Eden. Rashi says the dik that the Gemara is about to make is, it doesn't say ki haylech adam al beis ha'olam. It's beis olamai. Everybody has their personal olam haba. Amir b'dik malamet shekol tzadik v'tzadik noisen le'modar l'chlich v'ydai. Every tzadik gets the right place according to his honor. Moshe l'melech shenichnas hu v'avodav l'ir. A king who comes into the city. When they arrive, they all arrive in the main airport. They all fly through the same airport. But they don't all stay in the same hotel. There's the lower level that go to Motel 6 where they leave the light on for you. And then there's the king who gets the presidential suite of the Toronto Hilton. They don't all stay in the same place. The Omer Rabbi Yitzchak, Ma'idich Siv, the Yaldus, the Ashachris, Hevel, youth, black hair is nonsense. The Varim Sha'adim Oysa B'Yaldusai, indiscretions that people commit in their youth, and Rashi says it's referring to Roiv Tashmish, Mashchirin Pana, black in his face, Lasik Nosai. Nowadays, the black face from Yaldusai messes you up now. But in the old days, it was the opposite. The Narisha things you did make your black face today. So it's exactly the opposite. Olam hafachu. V'amar Bitzak, kasher rima lemeis. The worm eating the skin of a mace, the meat of a mace, is painful. Kamachat bebasar achai, like it's being punctured with a needle. Shenemar ach besarai olav yichov. His meat on him will be pained. Amar B'chista. The neshama of a person also sits shiva for himself. Shenemar v'navshe olav te'ovel. Uchsiv v'yas la'ovav evel shiva shyaman. Omer Rav Yehuda meis she'ein le'menachamen. What if Nebuch, a person dies and doesn't leave over any Aveilim? So the halach is hochen yud b'nei adam. 10 people go v'yoshvim b'mkoimai and sit. Rashi says b'makom shemesh sham, where he died. Actually, I'm not even sure what b'makom shemesh sham means. If it means the place where the mace is now, like by the caver, yeah, or the place where he died.
There's an Indian to go to sit shiva where the person died. Okay.
You're supposed to sit shiva in the hospital?
That's always a question, but the idea is usually to go to where the mace is, right?
His place, the place where the person died. That's what he sticks in the art scroll. Yosy Koimai. Ahu the shachav b'shevavusid Rabbi Yehuda. Nebuch, someone died in Rabbi Yehuda's neighborhood. Lo hayu lo menachem. He didn't have anyone to be menachem. Kol yoyma, every day have a davar Rabbi Yehuda beyasara. Yehuda would gather 10 people. The Yosef beduchte, and they would go sit there at the place of the mace. After 7 days, is chazale bechilmei the Rabbi Yehuda. The snifter came to Rabbi Yehuda in a dream and told him, Tanuch daitach, you should have peace of mind, shenachtes daiti, because you gave me peace of mind. And there's a story that he said over, that Rabbi Elvin spoke over, that when Rabbi Meir Simcha, I didn't know this, Rabbi Meir Simcha, the Ya'ar Sameach, did he not have children? Does anybody know? Because when he died, there were no Aveilim. So I'm not sure if that means there were no Aveilim at all, or maybe they weren't there, but there were no Aveilim. So it's known that in the city of Dvinsk, the Litva Sharov was Rabbi Meir Simcha, The Rav of the Chassidim was the Ragachover. So the Ragachover took 10 people to the home of Rav Meir Simcha, and they sat there for 7 days. And the Ragachover was masber that Nichum Aveilim isn't only for the Aveilim. It's not just to make the Aveilim feel good. You're actually being menachem in the neshama as well. And you see it from our Gemara. The fact that even though there's no Aveilim to be menachem, you have to go be menachem the mess itself, the neshama itself. And you see from our Gemara, Tanuch daitach shehinachta es daiti. And there's a shaila: are you allowed to? Will you be mekayim Nichum Aveilim on the telephone? So Moshe Weitzman says the oval will get nechama if you speak to him on the telephone, but the Yosy, the Nichum Aveilim for the neshama itself, that will not work over a telephone. The jury is still out as to whether or not it will work with a Zoom Nichum Aveilim. But for sure, if Moshe says a telephone will not be menachem the neshama, and that's why even when there's only one ovel, the nusach that said is hamokim menachem eschem, plural, referring to the Aveilim and the neshama. Amar Bavo, kol she'oimim b'fnei hameis, anything that's spoken in front of a mace, yodeya, it's known, he knows he's there. Ad sheyistam hagoylo, until the coffin is covered. Pligi ba Rab Chia v'Rab Shimon b'Rebbe exactly what this point is. Chadam ad sheyistam hagoylo, it just means until you close the box. Chadam ad sheyisachal habasar, until the meat becomes rotten. Madam ad sheyisachal habasar dechsev ach b'sarei olav yichav. So you see that the nefesh is there until the meat starts to deteriorate. So that doesn't just mean closing the coffin. It means once the person is returned to the earth, as soon as he's returned to the earth, then his neshama leaves. Once the guf is returned to the ground, the way he was originally, because we came from earth, miyad v'ruach toshuv shein v'ruach. So that's when the neshama leaves. Zot more about it. V'ruach toshuv el halakim asher nosna. The ruach will go back to Hashem. Asher nosna t'nolai. Oh no, asher nosna. The ruach will go back to Hashem that gave him the ruach to begin with. So the Gemara is telling us, the Bryce is telling us, t'nolai, return your neshama to the Rebbeinu Shalom k'mosh nosna lach. Just like he gave it to you, and that is b'tahira, af ata b'tahira. When you return your neshama to the Rebbeinu Shalom, make sure it's b'tahira. Moshe l'melech bosav adam shechalach b'gdei malchus lavada. If he gave out, he distributed uniforms to his servants to wear, to use. Pikrin sheben, the smart ones, kiplum, when they didn't use them, they folded them up and they took care of them properly. Nichum b'chuvsa, they stored them in a safe place in a cabinet. Tipshim sheben, halchul v'asu ben malacha, they wore them and they didn't care for them. They worked in them. They did dirty work for them. Liyamim, eventually what happened was because Melech Eskelef, he wanted to check out the clothing that he'd given out. Pikrin shabehem, the smart ones, they gave it back to the king in perfect condition. Tipshim shabehem, the fools, they were all dirty. The Melech was very happy with the Pikrin. The Kaas, the Kras Tipshin, and he was angry at the Tipshin. Akiva, this is going to be a very, very negate to us in a second. Al Pikrin Amar, Yinosnu Klila Oitzer. The Pikrin says, okay, give the keli back, put the clothing back in the storehouse, and let them go rest in peace. Al Tipshin Amar, Kili Yinosnu Lukoives. We have to put the begodim in to the dry cleaners. We got to clean them. And the Haim Yischabshu b'veis hasurim, and they're going to be locked in jail. So Rashi says, "Clean us loitrik latznian avzu tinasan tachas kisei hakavod." So the person that gave back the clothing clean, the person who gave back his neshama clean, will go get its place under the kisei hakavod. But lakoivitz, the dirty ones, have to go lavna to get cleaned. Avzu legehenim l'tzarfim sham. So the Gehenim isn't the punishment. Gehenim is because you have to wash the clothing so that when you give it back in the same pristine condition that you received it. Avakodesh Baruch Hu. Al Guvon Shestadikim Omer Yavoi Shalom Yanuchu Al Mishkavoisam. Come in peace and rest in peace. Al Nishmasanu Omer, and on the neshamas of these tzaddikim, it says V'hoisa Nefesh Adoni Surah B'Tzorachayim. You'll be connected to Tzorachayim. As Hashem Aleikecha Atzmai. B'kisa, you'll mamish be connected to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Al Guvon Shoshoim Omer Ein Shalom. There's no peace. Amar Hashem Lo Shalom. Al Nishmasanu Omer V'Snefesh Oivecha, and the souls of your enemies will be shot around in a slingshot. Whenever you learn the story about Gehenna, it talks about this kafakela, that the sham is thrown from one end of the world to the other end of the world in a slingshot. We don't understand what this means, but it's not as exciting as a roller coaster in an amusement park. Tanya, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Nishmazon Shosadikim Genuzois Tachas Kisi HaKavod, Shnemer Vayinefesh Adoni Tzur B'Tzorachayim, V'Shoshoyim Zoymimois V'Hoyochos. Zoymimois means they're locked up. I believe that's what the article says. They're strained. Rashi's come up with a moment of parcel in a steel box. Chavushis B'Vesasoyer. They get locked up. Umalach, so they're locked up in the box, and then Umalach Echad Oimid B'Soif Oilam. You end up being a volleyball. One malach is on one end of the world. They actually have Olympic sports in the Olam Hamis, and the malachim are the athletes, and we're the puck. They play hockey up there. The problem is the Rishoyim are the puck, not us. The Rishoyim, Avada, not us. Shenemar Vesnefesh Oivecha Yikalena B'Soich Kafakela. Amalei Rebbe of Nachman. Now we're talking about what's important. Shall Beininim. What happens with the Beininim? The Lubavitch Rebbe says in Tanya that we're working hard. We want to become Beininim. So, what happens to Beininim? Amalei Ika Shchivna le'Amerluchu. Hi Milsa. I'm so happy I didn't die, because had I died, I would have never been able to share with you something that Shmuel taught me. This was clearly a lesson that Shmuel felt wasn't something that he should publicly darshan about. He told it to me privately, and I would have never brought it up. But since you're asking me, I could share it with you. Hachiyam Shmuel, Elu ve'elu ledoime nimsarim. All neshamas are given over to the doime, who Rashi says is the malach in charge of the ruchos. I believe he says ruchos. Malach hamun ala ruchos. Whatever these things mean, people are dying to find out. Halalu yesh lamanayach. The people who are good, they rest. Halalu ein lamanayach. So this doesn't really give me clarity as to what happens, because I don't know who halalu is, and I don't know who the other halalu is. Amar Mori, asidim tzadikim davafra. Eventually, the tzadikim will become earth. T'chsiv v'yoshev v'afra al oretz k'shaya. Every body goes back to earth, which is where it came from, even those of tzaddikim. Zok to Gemara. Hanukkah Peloi. There were these construction workers there were excavators that they were excavating. To have a kapli bar Rab Nachman. Rab Nachman hired a team of excavators to do some excavation in his property, and while they were digging, the body of Rabbi Choy bar Yoshia that was buried in Rab Nachman's property grunted at them. That spooked them out. They dropped their shovels and ran for their lives. And they said, we ain't coming back. Also, Rab Nachman, they told Rab Nachman, Nochar ben Gavra, some corpse grunted at us. This is your place is spooked. We can't go back. Also, Va'amar lei Mandu Umar. So Rab Nachman asked this body, who are you? Amar lei Ana Achai bar Yoshia. I'm Achai bar Yoshia. Is Dave Zolti still here? So Dave Zolti doesn't like these types of Gemaras. Talk to a dead man. So the Arshko brings down from the Maharal that there was not an actual conversation between a corpse and Rab Nachman. This is Rab Nachman's Shakla Vitaria that was going on in his own mind, trying to understand pshat in the pasuk.
Have a talking dead fish. Why can't you have a talking dead person?
Anyway, I understood that. I didn't take it literally when I saw it.
Right. So what it is the Maharal says this is a conversation, a thought process that happened all in Reb Nachman's mind. As he
Morel was a rationalist.
Well, so you definitely would appreciate his approach.
Yes.
And David,
Simply pshat.
One second, David. Did you take literally the pshat a few weeks ago in Parshas Balak when the donkey spoke?
I'm sorry?
That was metaphorical. When the donkey spoke.
Oh, okay. So
So
there's okay.
That's okay. A dead person, no. I see dead people all the time.
Yeah. You know, the Rambam says when Shlosh Anoshim came to Avram, that it was a vision, that the three malachim, it never happened. There's a huge machlekes between the Rambam and the Ramban. So you're not an apikaris if you don't believe that it literally happened. But as a vision has its own reality. In other words, there is something real. If somebody's given a nevuah about three anoshim, that is a reality. Whether it physically happened or not may not matter. Whether that donkey really spoke or whether Bilam had a vision of the donkey speaking also doesn't matter. Do you see my point?
I do, but therefore if it's real enough, it becomes the reality. If to that person it's real,
oh yeah, okay.
So then it's real.
That's what I'm saying. Well, let me ask you something, Akiva. When the rocks underneath Yaakov were arguing with each other who Yaakov should sleep under, you think that really happened?
It depends on what you believe inanimate objects are. Do inanimate objects have representation?
Okay, so that's it. So it happened on a spiritual level. But those rocks are inanimate objects. They don't argue with each other.
And Disney movies, they do.
Okay.
Well, a lot of rock stars, when they eat mushrooms, they actually see things. So maybe there was mushrooms growing on the rocks.
Maybe the rocks were stoned, right? Is that it?
So Amar Lei, he said, "Ano achoy bar Yosy." He told Reb Nachman, "I am achoy bar Yosy." Amar Lei, v'lav Amar Rav Mori. Didn't Rav Mori say? Now Rav Mori was a contemporary of Reb Nachman, but he came way after.
I gotta go. I'm not leaving because I was insulted. All right, I got my minion is starting right now.
It's not. We're not finished insulting you yet. Come back afterwards.
Okay, have a good day. V'lav Amar Rav Mori. Didn't Rav Mori say, "Asidi tzadiki dava afra"? So how come you're not Earth? How come you're still alive and kicking almost? Amar Lei Umani Mori. I don't even know who this Mori is. He came way after me. Amar Lei. Okay, so forget Rav Mori, but the pasuk. V'kroksiv v'yashav ha'afar ala aretz. Kishahaya. Amar Lei. He told him that kayach kehelis, whoever taught you kehelis, lo yakayach mishli. You missed the pasuk in mishli. Dichsiv v'rekev atzamois kina. The bones, what causes bones to rot? That's kina. Kol mi sheyesh lekina beliba. If someone has kina in his heart, atzmoisav markivim. That's why his bones rot. But kol she'ein lekina beliba, ein atzmoisav markivim. So the conclusion that Rabbi Nachman came to was not all bones rot. People who had kin in them, which comes from gaiva, those bones deteriorate. But someone who has no kin, that body does not deteriorate. Gishashe, he touched the body to feel if it's real. Chazia, this b'mishashe, he saw that this is a real body. Amr lei, so he told Rabbi Choi bar Yoshia, leikum mar legaved besa. Why don't you come to my house for dinner? He tells his wife, I brought him a zombie for dinner. Amr lei, by you inviting me to dinner, golas adaitich, you've exposed yourself. That feeling nevi'ai loikaris. You don't even learn nevi'im. You didn't even learn navi. Dichsev yodatem K'ani Hashem, bepischis k'verseichem. You'll know I'm Hashem when I'm opening up your kvarim to make Chis Mason. In other words, we're not allowed to budge from our caver until the Rebbeinu Shalom tells us to stand up. Amalei b'vaksiv ki offer atav alafer toshev. L'mais it says we have to go back to offer. Amalei husha achas kodim Chis Mason. You're right. We will eventually completely rot and become earth, but that's right before Chis Mason. Amalei hutzeduki l'Rabavo. Amrisu, you said. Neshmashon shel tzadikim good news is tachas kisei hakavod. That the neshamas of the tzadikim are under the kisei hakavod. Well, if that's the case, uba Tommy heich aske l'shmuel b'negidah. How did Shaul bring up the neshama of Shmuel for him to talk to after Shmuel died using the Baal Oiv Yadayni? How was he able to pull that off? Amarlei hasam b'soich shnei masar chodesh abba. Within 12 months of the death, the neshamas are still available. They're still in the waiting room. They can get visitors. But after that, they're under the kisei hakavod. You can't get them out. The Tanya called Yud Beis Chodesh Gufei Kayam. The neshama oila v'yeredis. Its neshama goes back and forth between the guf and whatever's up there. Lach Yud Beis Chodesh a guf bottle. The neshama oila. The guf is bottle. The neshama goes up. V'yeshuv eina yeredis, and it doesn't come back. And with that, we can conclude today's Gemara. It says that he brings down a very nice word that it says Vayikach Moshe is Atzmas Yosef Imoy. He took the Atzmas Yosef with him. But what's interesting is when Yosef instructed Klal Yisrael to take his bones out of Mitzrayim, he said Va'alisayim is Atzmoisai Itchem. So if that's the case, when Moshe was fulfilling Yosef HaTzadik's request, it should have said, V'yech Moshe's Atzmas Yosef Itai, to use sort of the same nusach with which Yosef requested that he should take it. So I forgot who he said over one, but he said over very beautifully that it's not speaking literally. Sure, literally, when Moshe would have taken Yosef's bones, he would have taken them Itai to fulfill Yosef's request. But what it means is Moshe Rabbeinu was becoming the leader of Klal Yisrael. The bones of a person don't rot when there's anova, when there's anova, when there's no jealousy. So Moshe Rabbeinu, preparing to be the leader of Klal Yisrael, took the bones of Yosef Imoy with himself, meaning he took the lesson of Yosef's bones that he cannot be running after COVID, he cannot have kinah, because otherwise he wouldn't be royu to be a leader for Klal Yisrael.
The atzmus, the essence. That's what atzmus, the essence.
Yeah.
Pnimius, beautiful pshat. Who did he speak it? Who did he say it from?
I forgot. I don't know if you know. There's a project. There's a project that Lubavitchers have made that wants to teach all of the Rebbe's sichos. So what they do is twice a week, there's a sicha that's learned, and I think it's a 8-year cycle. After 8 years, you finish all of the Rebbe sichos. So they were mechabed Reb Elephant, my icon, to learn one of the sichos. So on the Hadron of Shabbos, the Rebbe Elephant, as he's finishing up Shabbos, he connected the Hadron of Shabbos to a sicha from the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and it's a beautiful shtickle about Misasik, about why the Lubavitcher Rebbe asks a lot of questions about why the Gemara in Masechah Shabbos ends with an unusual Gemara about the one that Amiroim was sitting in a bathtub measuring the water, splish splash. I was taking a bath. It's an interesting Gemara, so he gives a lot of insight as to why the Gemara of Shabbos ends with that sugya and connects it to the first mission of Shabbos to the beginning of the Masechah. So it's a beautiful sikha about it. I listened to it. I have to get it clear so that when we learn the last stuff, I'll speak it out. Because this is Rabbi Elephant and the Lubavitch Rebbe combined.
Yes, your worlds are colliding. You see
right.
The unification, how really it's the same Torah. And
but the problem is that a lot of diamond dealers lost their whole parnasa with the advent of the internet, because they made connections. They bought from him and sold to him. With the internet, they cut out the middleman. So I have my Bray Elephant in this package. I have the Sikhs in that package. And I'm trying to, make them relevant. And now that they come together, I'm always compliment. Okay, are we learning?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be back. Akiva, should I continue recording? Should I continue recording?
Thank you.
Yeah, I was
Thank you.
Oh,
hoping.
Mazel Tov, that's right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Tuesday night is lottery night. Somebody won 70 million. I thought for sure it was us. You said an Ontario ticket. Somebody picked up 70 million Lotto Max. I thought it was for sure us.
Akiva, should I
That's a
stop the live
different
stream?
lottery.
Yeah,